At the end of the day, it takes a lot of courage, I think. Yeah, a lot of courage, which we will only find, not only find, but I mean, the only source of that courage is none other than the individuals who takes care of us. It could be our biological parents, it could be also non-biological parents, but at least there's a form of parent in our lives, and they are the source of that courage. Now, from a spiritual point of view, then we say that that source of courage comes from a thing called teacher. And so, therefore, we have a very strong emphasis on sort of communicating and understanding that teacher. And we call that Guru Yoga, of course. But what it means is that it's just a way to open ourselves to somehow, of course, step by step, to embrace this courage that they carry. Because if we think of ourselves alone, yes, because they have to look after us. Now, in this case, I'm not just talking about the spiritual aspect, but overall, any parent, they have tremendous amount of responsibility to look after us, because we are very challenging, no matter how good we are. Sometimes the better we are, it also presents equal amount of challenge. So it just doesn't end whether we are good or bad. We will constantly give challenge, and so therefore they need to, how do you say, be very courageous, yeah, and very caring. Courageous is basically another way of saying compassionate and loving and so on. But at the end of the day, they need that sort of oomph, you know, to get through the day in a way. And the more we grow up, more the challenge, I think. Because I think there's only, I think, a small amount of period, very little amount of period where they can somehow appreciate that we are in their lives, I think. That's when we are not. That's the period when we are not able to talk, not able to walk, but give a lot of cute expressions, you know, of gagas and goo-goos, you know. I think that's the moment they miss the most, of course, when we grow up, and it's kind of understandable, I think. Yeah. So therefore, if we sort of open up a little bit about how they got so far, then we can pick up a few things from there, and then then not exactly be, but at least have an idea, even if we don't know how to really approach in helping now, either this family member or friend of ours, how to help. At least we will have an idea to be able to understand a little bit better. That it's like, in some ways, a preparation in a way, I think. Preparation for if we suddenly become a father or a mother, how do we go about it? So it's like practice before. And so therefore, being out there, maybe just a little bit, not too much, of course, because we also cannot do too much. Maybe all we can do at the end of the day is just be supportive enough to just lend one's ears, just to hear, you know, forget advice, because what do we know, yes? But at least we can listen, and by listening, they feel comfortable that they can share some of their maybe thoughts, and ourselves we can understand a little bit better. But that's about it, you know. Maybe that goes a long way. Yeah. But first, I think we have to look up to individuals who are not the embodiment, but somehow at least some examples of courage. That's the first step, I think. Then we can have a bit of a better perspective about how to listen, how to approach, and finally how to really help. Now that's a entirely new thing and completely mysterious to ourselves alone, because nobody can really teach us how to go about it. Finally, it just sort of happens. Actually, before we know it, it has happened already. Yeah. Like for example, we prepare ourselves for various things. Yes, before the big day. Let's say, it could be anything. It could be a holiday, it could be work, it could be exam, it could be anything. A meeting. We prepare a lot, but at the end of the day, when it happens in the most unexpected way. Yeah. And that's 99% of the time, actually. And so I think the trick is never to prepare. But don't take my word for it. Not to prepare in a way that we don't become overburdened with preparation. We just prepare enough, and at the end of the day, we just absorb. That's the thing. More than preparation, just absorb. So in this case, I'll try to absorb how those parents are handling it. Yes. Not necessarily they're the best example, to be honest, but what is really amazing about them is that they really don't know. Actually, they're just like ourselves. They don't know anything. They don't know anything, yet they're trying to do something. It's like playing a guitar, I suppose. They just don't know how to play guitar at all. But at least they're trying, you know. They're making all kinds of funny and every day, day in, day out, they're just going tong tong, and just it's at the end of the day, it's just noise. But at least they're trying. Yeah. And when those kind of teachers or parents, when they pass away, which is a normal thing, a normal part of life, of course, but we miss the most is those wrong notes that they have played so far, yeah, but consistently and out of heart, out of their heart. So if we absorb that, yes, that if we can absorb that part of it, then we will feel also comfortable. Meaning that, for example, now, if that day comes that we need to we actually have to take an action to help this friend, we don't have to be burdened, first of all, that I have to get this right. I have to give the best advice. I have to sort of fix him or fix her, you know. And we're not pressurized by that at all. We will just do it sort of spontaneously. Yeah. Maybe when we say something, what we say might not be the best thing to say, or the most correct way to say, but at least we have said it, you know. But it's not just a one-time wonder. That's the thing. Sometimes we will say the best thing, you know, because maybe we've had a good day, a good meal. Prior to that, of course, maybe read a good book, and so therefore we're kind of inspired. The mind is still quite sort of clear about what you've read or what you've heard somebody talk about something very interesting, and so we're kind of inspired by that, and we're in that mood, and we're in that zone, and so to that friend we are able to say the best of things for that one time. And we feel really good about it, of course. Of course, there is no way of knowing whether that actually helped the friend or not. It just, I felt good. And then the problem with that kind of one-time wonder is that then the next day you realize that it didn't do anything. Then you begin to question yourself in a way, and think that I did my best in a way. I'm just using that using the advice part as an example. Of course, it could be anything. Yeah, it could be various things, of course. So therefore, the help, whatever form of help or support or advice that you give to that friend, the thing is, it needs to be consistent. Whether it's right or wrong, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be regular. But how regular it has to be, it's really up to ourselves. That we have to examine ourselves. Meaning that we cannot physically do it, perform the same rhythm to hundreds of others, of course. Impossible. Okay? I mean, of course, we are trying. That's why we have things like hospitals and law firms and whatnot, yes, so that we are able to cater that to multitudes of others. But still, we will be able to do it very adequately. So therefore, not enough at the end of the day. So therefore, we have to know our limit in a way, know our capacity, so that because of my lifestyle, because of where I am right now, and because, of course, foremost, because I'm a human being, that I have only so much time, I have only so much energy. So therefore, accordingly, I can be that regularly supportive of this to this friend. So therefore, it may not be every day. That's what I'm trying to say in very practical terms. It may not be every hour. Maybe it could be a weekly thing. Maybe it could be a monthly thing. But at least we have a rhythm, and we are there. Yeah. So I think, I mean, from my individual point of view, I think those are sort of general sort of guidelines that we can try out, and often with that kind of guideline, there is no real sort of risk in a way. Kind of safe. And it could be also helpful also. But if you think of it as a practitioner, I mean, from a practitioner's point of view, a spiritual point of view, then what is most important is all those are there. Okay, just now one last addition in a way is that then in time, we have to kind of enjoy it. Enjoy that rhythm. That's the thing. Enjoy not in a way that suddenly, if you run out of friends to help, that we will be depressed. Not in that sense. But enjoy in a way that you're not bothered about success. Completely sort of obsessed with successful outcome, but you kind of enjoy doing that. You don't feel it. You don't feel it as a burden. You don't feel it as it's the time of the week or the month that I have to go and do this thing. But we are just sort of in a very healthy way fascinated about it, and we feel kind of enjoy what we do. And you don't have any takes on it about whether this is a good thing to do or a bad thing to do, or the right thing to do or wrong thing to do. You just do it. You just go through with it, and you're not burdened by it at all. That's what we call then. I think we translate that into then activity in a way. Activity meaning, of course, even though we're not spiritual, activity is all around every day. Yes. I mean, the most fundamental part of activity would be breathing. I mean, we breathe every day. and everyone breathes. Yes, and until I said that, of course, none of us realize it. but then when somebody says that, then of course we suddenly realize that I am breathing. Yes. And so there is that sort of funny thing, isn't it? One part where you're not breathing, but the body is breathing, and the moment you have a little bit of awareness, then you are breathing instead of your body is breathing. So activity is like that, yeah. So that every day activity is going on every day. But we are able to somehow label that as activity moment. We somehow make it our own. So that meaning, so for example, now this routine, this rhythm that we will follow, let's say. Then we will do it a little bit consciously in some sense, so that therefore, from that angle, then it's an activity. Yeah. But of course, when we're actually in it, we're not going to think that this is now I'm in the mode of activity and so on. We will just do it, regardless of what it's being called or named. Yeah. Yes.